some more of the medicine in your ear. Let me see. Come here. Let me see your ear. Come here. Stop. Let Dad see. I'll put some more of the medicine in your ear. God dang, girl, you gotta stop scratching, baby. Come here. Let me put this in your ear real quick. Hold on, let Dad do this real quick. Hey, how y'all doing? Y'all give me just 1 second. Just 1 second, y'all. I'll let Dad put this in your ear. Come on. Come here. Come here, little girl. Come here. Come here. All right, here we go. Stop. Let Dad do this real quick. Hold on. I'm gonna stop. Hold on, baby. Dad's almost through. Dad through. Hold on, I'm through, baby. Hold on. Dad through. Hold on, boy. Sit down, girl. Dad gonna build it. I'm gonna let y'all out in a second. Hold on, child. Y'all give me just 1 second, man. How y'all doing this evening? Give me 1 second. Take care of my baby. Hold on, little girl. Let Dad get this in your ear, child. Gotta get it inside the ear. What I do, make it feel better for my baby. Come on, pretty little girl. I almost got it. Hold on, Daddy. I almost got it. Dad, get it in your ear, child. So you feel better. Yeah, you don't feel better. There you go. Good girl. You're a good girl. Let Dad go and do this. So you feel better. Once you feel better. If you're not better about trying to get that money, Dad, I'll take you to a vet. I'm gonna take you to a vet anyway. I'm gonna make sure everything's okay. They're gonna make you feel better. Hold on. I gotta get it in your ear. Y'all forgive me just 1 second. Anyway, let's go. Go. Now go play. Move. Not right there. Don't sit right there, child. Let Dad do this. I'm sorry about that, y'all. I apologize. Good evening, everybody. How you all doing? Okay, child. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right, baby. How y'all doing? This your boy Rod Thomas Jr. and this is the real news behind the news. Peace, Michael Perry. How you doing this evening? Thank you for joining us. Yeah, today is Sunday, May 2nd, 2021. And in this video, we're gonna be very, very brief. Again, unless you all come with the comments like you did last night. I really do appreciate you all coming, and I really do suggest that you all make any comments and add to this video, whatever it is that you might want to ask. Y'all forgive me, I had to put some little medicine in my puppy's ear. She got a real bad ear infection. But anyway, again, today is Sunday, May 2nd, 2021. And what I'm going to do in this video, okay, baby girl, it's going to be all right. You're going to be okay. Dad put the medicine in. Is go back to part 2. We're going to do a part 2, actually, of the video that we did yesterday. Because we didn't get a chance yesterday to really get deep off into the subject matter that we wanted to talk about. Because, again, thanks to you all conversation, the video that we did yesterday got real deep and real serious, which was really good for this channel and for our subscribers. We ask that as you come in and join us on this video, please hit that like button for us so that we can get more people in. And again, thank you, Michael Perry, for joining us. Right now, it's just you and I. And we're going to just we ain't going to stall, but we just want to talk about the topic that we was going to talk about yesterday. And the topic that we was going to talk about is God the origin of racism? Now, y'all notice I got this marked as part 2. Yesterday, we started out, talking about it, but we wound up getting deep. We started talking about the extraterrestrials, and eventually we might get back off into that today. It depends on how you all comments go. But again, I want to try to wait for a few people to come in. Maybe, again, as you all come in, please hit that like button. Please hit the share button so that we can get as many people involved in this video discussion as possible. Because again, thanks to Tony Snow, a couple of other people last night, the broadcast got real deep. It got real deep, real fast. And I want to say we got so much sidetracked. Evidently, that was the direction that the creator meant for that video, that broadcast to go last night. Now, in this video, we're going to ask the question, why is it that Black people continue to ask a God that was given to us by our slave masters to help us fight the systemic racial oppression that we have been facing ever since our people were enslaved here in America. Now, I want to give a disclaimer. My views are just that, my views. I'm not here to do this video to offend anybody for your spiritual or religious beliefs, but I am here to force a conversation that we as Black people really need to have, y'all. We really need to have this conversation as Black people because, again, we're still sitting around here talking about we shall overcome, and we haven't overcome yet. And this God that we pray to, thousands of us went to church today or to a mosque yesterday, a synagogue, whatever your religious belief, over this weekend, a lot of people went and practiced their faith, asking God for many things, most likely material shit. I mean, material stuff. I'm gonna try to stop cussing, but it's fucking hard to fucking stop cussing. It really is. It's fucking hard. But anyway, most times we ask God for for materialistic stuff, cars, homes, jobs. And when those things come to us, we like to give the God of your beliefs the credit for it without even giving yourself credit for getting out and working for those. So we're going to go first and foremost. So we're coming on Tony Williams. Okay, that was a Facebook post. I want to read this first story, which gives credence to what we're about to talk about. Because we as Black people, we still like to think that slavery is over with and done, you know, but that's far from the truth. Even once the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, and eventually when slavery was officially ended, do you all realize that under the 13th Amendment, slavery was still made legal? Under the 13th Amendment, let me read the actual 13th Amendment for you all, so you all get to understand. That's not gonna let me. Oh man, that's crap, crazy. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. My keyboard is broken, y'all. Let me see. Let me see. How am I gonna do this? The 13th Amendment. Y'all give me just a second. I want to read the 13th Amendment and give you all the understanding that slavery never ended. I can't get the E up on there. Hold on a second. Give me just a second, y'all. Bear with me. All right, here it is, 13th Amendment summary. We're going to go, matter of fact, let me go back, because that was the 13th Amendment simplified. All right, now I want to read the 13th Amendment to you all and give you all the real game as to how a specific clause was added into the 13th Amendment. Because again, let's just go back to a real brief history, a time capsule of slavery. Once slavery ended, we went into a period of sharecropping. That's where Black people pretty much lived on the land that they were that they were slaves to previously, that they were slaves on previously, and they continued to work for their previous master, their master that had them enslaved. All right, they worked for him. This master owned the store. He pretty much had everything in a self-contained, I guess you could say, unit, where those slaves didn't even have to leave that plantation. Even once they were free, they stayed on that plantation, and master provided everything from down to the store. And most of them couldn't count or add it. And so he basically was able to still keep them enslaved by charging them high prices at the store. And at this time, you would have where master would make them laugh. You ain't got the 13 cents you need for this bread, this flour, whatever. Sign this piece of paper
and boom, we can, I'll let you have it on credit. But a lot of them didn't understand when they put that X on the signature, that they were saying, well, however long take it pay this 13 cent off, that's how willing that's how long I'm willing to work. So you had that period of sharecropping. Then as we come on down, we have a period of Jim Crow, where black people in America were still not accepted as full human beings or given full equality. We were still, in a sense, segregated, which actually was the best thing for black people. Believe it or not, the worst thing that ever happened to black people in America was integration. Because as long as we were segregated, we had to deal with each other. We had to build our own stores. We had to build our own schools. We had to build our own infrastructure. And actually, black people started to thrive to a point. But we were still getting lynched or whatever. Boom, boom, whatever, blase, blase. Now here we come into this century, to this modern era. Slavery still exists in the form of your penitentiary system, your criminal justice system. Because again, we're going to talk about the 13th Amendment before we go on, and then I'm going to read the article for you all that still shows you that slavery literally still exists. Because in this article that I'm going to read, there was a brother, he was mentally challenged, and a white restaurant owner literally held this man as a slave. And you find this throughout the country in a lot of cases. And did you all know it was up until what? 2000, between 1995 and 2001, Mississippi still refused to take the slavery laws off their books. Mississippi still held out up into this modern era on slavery. So let me read basically a quick summary of the 13th Amendment, and you will see how this 13th Amendment. Okay, child. Okay, Dad will. Child, you need to go over there. Dad, man, I gotta get this girl some more medicine. Anyway, let's read this 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States, passed the Senate on April 8th, 1864, and the House on January 31st, 1865. On February 1st, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln approved the joint resolution of Congress submitting the proposed amendment to the state legislatures. The necessary number of states ratified it by December 6, 1865. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution provided that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except, keep in mind, this is the most important clause in the 13th Amendment. Now I'm going to go back and start from it. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution provides that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Did y'all really catch the most important part of that phrase that I read? I'm going to read it again. And please, again, we need you all coming. We got 3 comments so far. Let me get back to you all comments. Peace, my brother. Michael Perry. My honor be to hear. I'm not understanding that, Brother Perry, but we thank you for being here. Please share this video. Shy, please sit, girl. Sit. Dad will check you out in a minute. Let Dad get this done. Okay. Now, I'm going to read that phrase again, and I need you all to understand and really listen closely. It's like a quiz, a pop quiz when y'all was in school. But the most important phrase in this whole paragraph that I'm going to read. I'm going to read the whole thing over again for those who might just be coming in. The 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States, passed the Senate on April 8, 1864, and the House on January 31st. 1865. On February 1st, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln approved the joint resolution of Congress submitting the proposed amendment to the state legislatures. The necessary number of states ratified it by December 6, 1865. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution provided that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Do you all realize that part that says except means that slavery or involuntary servitude is still legal under the United States Constitution, the 13th Amendment, which is supposed to have abolished slavery, but when they put that phrase, that word, one word, except, do you all realize that means you cannot hold somebody against their will and force them to work, except unless they get convicted of a crime, a felony. Yeah. So when I tell you all that your criminal justice system, your governors of each state, your federal legislation, federal criminal justice system, these people are your slave masters in modern day time. Hey, Lola, Zach. Hey, London, what's going on? Hey, how you doing? So I know I can't cuss y'all. My sister is on. But anyway, your state is your slave owners. Your penitentiaries, your local jails, are your slave plantations. Your wardens and correction officers are your overseers. Your police are the slave catchers, and the prisoners are the slaves. Legally, under the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Because when they said except, that meant that one word changed, it really made the whole Constitution Amendment null and void. Because you were supposed to be doing away with slavery, but you kept a clause in there that allowed for slavery to continue to exist. When they say except, you get convicted, you are duly convicted in a court of law of a crime, you are still under a system of slavery. Because what happens now, and I don't know if you all are really familiar how the prison system works, but let me show you what happens. You have, really what you have is jail. Jail is not the penitentiary, you all. And I know a lot of these young cats, these teenagers and people in their early 20s come into jail. Jail is where you go when you commit a crime and the police arrest you. You go to jail, in most cases, either the city jail. Here in Louisiana, we have parishes. Other places, the other 49 states have counties. But you go to jail, and while you're in jail, this is where you face your charges, answer those charges, and face prosecution for those charges. Keep in mind, that's jail. You're not convicted of anything. You're facing and fighting the charges in jail. Jail is basically a pre-trial holding facility. And y'all know what's crazy? You got a lot of so-called gangsters, a lot of cats, especially these youngsters, coming to jail, facing misdemeanor charges and falling in love with other men. Ain't even been to the penitentiary, ain't even got convicted, have not even went to court yet, and fallen in love. That's a whole different story. Another broadcast for another time. But if you so gangster, if you listen to this video and you was in jail facing a jaywalking charge, couldn't make bond, you sat there for 6 months, and while you were there for 6 months, you fell in love with another dude, you were gay before you went to jail. Jail, I'm gonna give y'all a little game and I'm gonna keep going. Jail does not turn a man out. You don't go to jail and become a homosexual. You are a homosexual before you went to jail, and jail is not the place for it to happen. It really happens in the penitentiary. But if you getting turned out in jail, anyway, that was a whole different side story. But let me keep this going. Keep this going. Now, after you are convicted of a felony, because you do not go to your state penitentiary unless you're convicted of a felony. If you're convicted of a misdemeanor, in most cases, the most time that you will serve is 6 months on a misdemeanor, and you're usually housed in your city or your county, Louisiana parish facility, and that's where you do your time. But once you are convicted of a felony, then they have to ship you to your state penitentiary. Now, when you go to the penitentiary, the new form of slavery is they have you working in the fields, growing your own food. Most people will say, well, they said hard labor, the judge says hard labor. They need to make some type of restitution for their crime. They shouldn't do the crime if you can't do the time. That's the way most people would look at it. But what is happening now, even if you're working in the field, do you realize you're only getting paid, in most cases, 3 cents, and in most I've heard was 10 cents in some states, an hour. Now, keep in mind, once you become a ward of the state, while you're in prison, the state is supposed to pay your housing, for your laundry, for your meals, for your medical expenses. This is supposed to come from the state. But you know what the state does? They take that 3 to 10 cents an hour that you make while you're working in these fields or on the side of the road, picking up trash, whatever you do, whatever your job is, if you're working in the kitchen, they take that money and apply it to whatever expenses that you might cost them. Keep in mind now, here in Louisiana, once you move to the penitentiary level where you've been convicted of a felony, the federal government kicks in almost $25 a day, and the state kicks in almost another $25 a day per inmate. So that's $50 a day per inmate that the state and the federal government gives your penitentiary system. Now, out of that $50 per inmate, the state only spends at the most maybe $2. In most cases, the average is $1.25. $1.25 supposed to cover 3 meals a day, your clean uniforms or whatever, everything that you need to exist from day to day. You're supposed to get $50 a day, but the jails, the penitentiaries, the facilities will only spend $1.25. So basically, they're profiting $48 a day per inmate. Profiting. And your for-profit prisons, because a lot of states go to a private prison system, is even worse. Now again, you'll have those people who have never been to prison will say, well, you do the crime, you do the time. But do you all realize how inhumane this system is? It is no different than when our ancestors were sitting in these slave plantations, and when you look at their housing, you had 14 to 15 people in one house, unsanitary conditions, poor food, poor medical attention. No matter what you've done in society, what crime you committed, you still deserve a certain level of dignity as a human being. And we're going to get to why I say that in a little bit, because I'm going to go ahead and give you all the gist of it. Because what is happening, the state is putting these people behind bars, locking them in cages. Because here in Louisiana, I'm going to be real, you might get sentenced to a 25-year sentence. We only have one state penitentiary here in Louisiana, whereas every other state you go to, once you get convicted in the court and the court finds you guilty of a felony, they have to ship you from the local holding facilities, because you're, as a convicted felon, you're not allowed by federal law to be around other inmates who have not yet been convicted or who have been convicted of misdemeanors. You know why? What if you get convicted to a 50-year sentence and you're housed around a bunch of people who will be going home within the next day to next month or so? You won't have nothing to lose as a 50-year Joseph. When I say Joseph, that means the term of your sentence. And you finna Joseph 50 years. So guess what you finna do? You finna become a predator. And those cats that, who is it? Hold on a second. Give me a second. I'm doing something right now. Give me a second. I'm doing something right now. Give me a second. Now, I apologize. But what happens if you got 50 years to life, 25 years, and you are housed around somebody who the most time they're going to get is 6 months? You have nothing to lose. And what happened here in Louisiana, and it happened really all around the country, these people with 25 years or more were basically preying upon the misdemeanor people. And the misdemeanor people, a lot of times, in order to defend themselves, committed violent acts, in a lot of cases, killed to protect themselves from being bullied. Now, you done went from a 6-month sentence to facing a life sentence. This is why the federal government had to step in. Because here in Louisiana, at one point, if you got a year convicted of a felony, they sent you to Angola State Penitentiary. Here in Louisiana, again, we only have one penitentiary. One, and that's the state penitentiary at Angola, Louisiana State Penitentiary. Every other state in America has multiple penitentiaries where you, as soon as you get convicted of your felony, next day you're gone. And if you got 5 years as a felony, convicted felon, you going down there with the big boys where they got life. You see what I'm saying? But here in Louisiana, it's different. Because if you got 25 years here in Louisiana, 9 times out of 10 now, you're going to spend that entire sentence in one room where you're probably only allowed to go outside once every 3 months. You got to spend, well, if it's aggravated, when I say aggravated sentence, that's like aggravated murder, aggravated battery, aggravated robbery. Any sentence that's called aggravated, you have to serve at least 85% of your time. Now, if you get convicted of a felony that is not aggravated, here in Louisiana now, you only serve 3 months off a year. So that means if you get served sentenced to 2 years, you only serve 6 months of that sentence. They call it the good time law. But what was happening here in Louisiana, you would have a person that gets sentenced to a 2-year sentence for a felony crime. They would send him to Angola, which at one point was literally the bloodiest prison in America for almost really since it existed. Angola State Penitentiary here in Louisiana was the most violent and bloody prison in the history of America. To the point, back in I think it was 1970 something, the United States government had to come to Louisiana and take over the Louisiana State Penitentiary because people were dying. Again, you had people getting sentenced to 2 years. They would get sent down to Angola, and just to be processed, while in the process of being processed, they had to kill somebody. So you went from a 2-year sentence to life in the prison system. And keep in mind, I'm going to get to where I'm going, but this is important for you to understand. Now, since then, the federal government, since the 70s, the federal government took over the state penitentiary at Angola for Louisiana, and the state of Louisiana did not get, God, Y'all, give me a second. Give me a second. Hold on. Hold on. This phone's gonna cut off. Oh, okay. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. Give me a second. I gotta try to save this battery. Fuck. Fuck.